Hey now, we are getting over, and I am the Silver King, Adam Silverstein, here to lead you through these hard times. With your 2026 WWE Night of Champions instant analysis. That's right, Getting Over is back once again, and we are here to break down every single thing that happened at WWE Night of Champions on Saturday, June 27th, WWE's final premium live event before the two-night SummerSlam in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Vintage Chris Vanini will be along for the ride momentarily, but before we get to him, we got to get to this, and that is a reminder that the Getting Over Wrestling podcast
is all about the fire.
So please, folks,
stop being marks for yourselves and go back to being a mark for me.
Go back to being marks for the Silver King and Vintage. Head over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave a 5-star rating on Apple. Take a little extra time. Leave a 5-star written review. If you do, we will read it live right here on the show. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media at Getting Overcast on Twitter and Blue Sky. You get episode drops, news, analysis, highlights. You can send in questions and comments to the show. We will utilize many of those this coming Tuesday on our WWE Night of Champions second look, where we also break down everything that happens across Raw and SmackDown in a given week. Also on YouTube, you can listen to the show. You can watch full-length video interviews. And if you hit the link in our social media profiles, you can join our free Slack channel, shop at WWE Shop. We get a kickback, subscribe to the show, myriad things that you can do. But follow us and find us on social media at Getting Overcast. Now, even though it is still the afternoon here in these United States, we have a tradition here at the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. Whenever we cover a premium live event or a pay-per-view, we crack open a cold one. And the Silver King just sprayed everywhere, but I've been waiting on this beer for a long time. It's called PB&J Mixtape from Zool Beer Company, apparently in Knoxville, Tennessee, which I'm not too proud to say considering I am a Florida Gator. But nevertheless, I have seen this beer everywhere. It's been in my refrigerator for months. Been waiting to try it. Cannot wait. Vintage, welcome to the show. What do you have over there?
Nice. I've got one I've used before. Three Nations Brewing, the Watermelon Sucker Punch. It's made right near me here in the DFW area. Big fan. I often pop by. So that's what I'm going with.
I got to say, despite the Knoxville of it all, this, I've had a lot of peanut butter and jelly beers. This tastes like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It's wild. It tastes like an Uncrustable. The peanut butter, the jelly, the white bread. I don't know how. I've never tasted something like this before. So shout out to PB&J Mixtape Vintage. I hope you enjoy what you have over there. Let's not waste any time on this show. We're going to break down everything that happened at WWE Night of Champions, as well as any major moments from the Go Home SmackDown, if it directly pertained to matches on this card. We're going to start with the main event, work our way down the card. At the end, we will share with you our pre-show expectation grades for WWE Night of Champions, and we will give you a final grade for this premium live event. With all that said, Vintage, let's get into it. The WWE Night of Champions instant analysis, and we, of course, are going to start where WWE finished, with the WWE Championship on the line in a triple threat main event. Cody Rhodes defending against Gunther and Sami Zayn. But a lot did happen on the Go Home SmackDown. Sami, backstage at that show, appropriately stuck up for his officiating efforts, pointing to a comatose Johnny Gargano as the only one who understands what he's going through. Zayn admitted the last few months have been difficult since the Royal Rumble, but because he stayed true to himself, he's a good guy, the universe has provided an opportunity at redemption. Sami then realized that meant he would win the WWE title on Saturday. Gunther later said he's the only one who deserves redemption, not Zayn. Pressed about Cody beating him twice, he made it crystal clear he got screwed both times. So Zayn immediately interrupted Rhodes in the main event segment on TV. Despite being provoked and pushed, he regretted his actions last week, reiterated that he is the last real good guy. Sami reminded that he did not want to come between Cody and Gunther. The latter chose him as the referee. Rhodes angrily cut him off, noting how Zayn is playing the victim. Yet he is able to challenge for the WWE Championship in a country where he has, I guess you would call it for wrestling, home ring advantage. Cody called Sami exhausting, basically equating him to Colin Robinson, an energy vampire. Rhodes said Zayn and Kevin Owens, being best friends, it's odd because they're so different. KO would have stabbed him in the front, not the back, and at least he's been a world champion, Kevin, whereas Sami has not. Sammy warned Cody to keep Kevin's name out of his mouth, saying without him, Gunther would be champion and he should be thanking him. Gunther interrupted as they were just at the peak of heat, saying he didn't care about any of their bullshit, but Sammy was right that he should be the champion, but he's a total non-factor as a wrestler, someone who will never be world champion. So now you have Cody and Gunther in separate weeks telling Zayn he will never be world champion. When he mentioned King of the Ring, Jey Uso surprisingly joined the party, entering from the stage, considering he had to cut a promo and could not be completely gassed and out of breath. Jey basically did his new warning shot bow shtick twice to Cody and Sammy before telling Gunther that he would tap him out again like a little bitch. That started a brawl with Cody and Jey combining to super kick Gunther out of the ring. As they circled one another, Oba Femi entered wearing his new t-shirt, which I just want to say should never, ever happen again. The dude should not be wearing his own merchandise. He's too cool for that shit. It was also an ugly shirt, and the back of it said Uba, because like the fan chant as opposed to just Oba, which straight up, I'm sorry.
So dumb.
I digress. Jey took advantage of the distraction to super kick Cody, and Gunther did the same to lariat Jey. Gunther eyed Femi, so Sammy hit him with the WWE title, took a crossroads with Cody and Oba going face-to-face as the show ended. I know that was a lot, but we're trying to get through this fast because we want to get to the WWE Night of Champions instant analysis. If this extended segment on SmackDown was receiving a grade vintage, Jey would have gotten a bad, and everyone else would have gotten a good. It was largely terrific, setting up not only the two biggest matches on the PLE card, but multiple potential SummerSlam matches, given the variety of possible outcomes with the 5 people involved here. Sammy was the star backstage and in the ring. He stood out from the pack, and his gimmick is starting to come into its own. I did not leave this segment believing Zayn would definitely win the title, but my original prediction of Gunther winning, it got maybe halved a little bit, where I said, you know what? Like, maybe Sammy does have a chance. The way Gunther tore Sammy down, given their history, the differential in their characters, that was great. Jey was incredibly frustrating. We don't need to get into that further. And Oba had a lot of aura, as usual, despite the shirt. All in all, a really strong go-home for Night of Champions that accomplished its goal on multiple fronts.
He came out of this segment feeling that Sami Zayn is going to win the WWE Championship. You just don't know when.
Exactly.
Because they beat you over the head the last couple of weeks, going back to the idea that people think Sammy will never win it. And so I went into Night of Champions thinking it's possible, but probably not yet because they're almost telegraphing it too much.
Mm-hmm. Did you find it overly successful, both the backstage and what happened in the ring?
Yeah. It was good to see multiple stories come together. There was a lot of energy. It really, despite not a ton of like fighting, obviously, it was a very hot segment to end the show.
Did you still have in your head Gunther is going to win the world title and Oba Femi is going to win King of the Ring, which were our predictions on the Ultimate Preview?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so let's get to the main event of Night of Champions, that triple threat I mentioned. Sammy entered first, again, wearing the Saudi thobe and shumag, I believe it's called. He was thrilled that he was being appreciated by the fans. Cody was back in his American gear, and the crowd was white hot at the bell. Rhodes landed a single and double version of the Cody Cutter about 5 minutes into the match. Gunther soon countered him into a powerbomb stack for a broken fall. Michael Cole started shitting on Victor Wembanyama during the match, which for me was amazing.
Thank you!
Right before Zayn caught Rhodes with a blue thunder bomb, only to get pulled backward by his legs, crotch first into the ring post. Cody countered Rainmaker into Crossroads, with Zayn pulling the referee out of the ring. It was the mirror image spot of their prior 2 matches with the rope break. Sammy hit a brainbuster after avoiding disaster kick. Gunther broke the fall with the second worst splash that was executed in the month of June. He powerbombed his competitors one into the other, but when he tried a second powerbomb on Zayn, Gunther got countered into a really nice code red for a false finish. Gunther missed the equivalent of a haluva kick, taking the same from Zayn seconds later, only for Rhodes to similarly pull the referee out of the ring. Both announce tables got cleared, with Zayn unable to execute a package powerbomb like Owens would. Instead, he got back body dropped from Arabic through English. Ironically, this was the only match where the audio sounded good. More on that later. But Michael Cole's headset got taken out on that spot. Gunther twice powerbombed Rhodes into the Arabic table, as it did not break the first time. Then he dragged the champion into the ring for a sleeper with a body scissors. Cody escaped with a standing slam, only for Gunther to lock it back in, with Graves doing a great job calling the action as Cole was barely audible. Rhodes appeared to pass out by the ropes as the referee nudged his arm, but he decided, you know what, maybe I should confirm this with an arm drop.
Thank you.
And Zayn made the save by holding Rhodes' arm up. Sammy and Gunther chopped the shit out of each other as Cole took Graves' headset away from him, which kind of gave you an indication something might be happening.
No, don't like that.
Zayn delivered his exploder suplex and followed with Haluva kick for a dynamite false finish. Gunther took Zayn down with a lariat only to eat a double jump Cody cutter. Zayn then reversed Crossroads, but as he tried to follow with a Haluva kick, Gunther caught him in a sleeper hold. With that locked in, Cody picked them up and hit a double Crossroads. He looked to add another on Zayn, only to instead get rolled into a pinning combination with Sami Zayn straight up pinning Cody Rhodes squeaky clean to win the motherfucking WWE Championship.
Oh! Yes! I love that!
Sami went wild, got absolutely mobbed celebrating in the crowd after winning the WWE title, climbing the damn mountain on his 10th try. I've been saying it for weeks. I tweeted it before the match. Don't let perfection be the enemy of good. Perfection would have been winning in the main event of WrestleMania 33. It would have been winning an Elimination Chamber in Montreal. This was more than good, though. It was outstanding. And just like we should have seen the triple threat coming before it became obvious, I could not help but exit this match hitting myself in the back of the head for not realizing they were doing a version of the Jinder Mahal booking with Zayn this entire time, as evidenced by his Arabic promo on the post show. Difference being, Jinder was a heel in the United States and a babyface in India, whereas Sami is more of a tweener dependent on location, and obviously a huge babyface in Saudi. This match was brilliantly booked and paced. The Cody Gunther finisher references, the mirror pin preventions, the centipede style double crossroads, which told every single person watching, yeah, Cody's going to retain the title again.
No!
Total swerve of our expectations. And Sami did not just win the WWE title, he did so over the Golden Boy protected champion, clean, with zero excuses. And it occurred at the crescendo of the match with a sudden finish, a legitimate wrestling move, not a piece of bullshit. It was a crowning moment for a guy who doubters said for years would never get his moment in WWE. Despite this finish being possible, we discussed it on the Ultimate Preview at length. It was probably the most euphoric, not obvious world title change since Seth Rollins' cash in at WrestleMania 31. We're talking more than a decade outside of WrestleMania. It might be the best moment of this kind since Eddie Guerrero at No Way Out in 2004, 22 years ago. That's what this felt like. Daniel Bryan was expected. Rey Mysterio was expected. Kofi Kingston was expected. This was a 33% proposition at best. It was so much fresher than Cody retaining or Gunther winning. We both believed it was a real possibility, but we both assumed it would not happen. I've got more to say, but let me get you in on this vintage after my grade, which is 4.75 stars, A+. I might move it higher on a rewatch because I'm not sure there was an imperfection in the entire 20, 25, 30 minutes, however long this went.
Yeah, I mean, the match was about near perfect. Like, that doesn't necessarily mean 5-star match, but they executed everything they wanted to, and they told a great story. And throughout the whole match, you go in thinking, like, any three of these guys could actually win this thing. And the final few minutes of just back and I was on the edge of my seat. Like, I was like, oh, this is going to be the finish. This is going to be the finish. This is going to be, and it's not. And I'm just like waiting for Gunther to come in, and then he gets the sleeper. And I'm like, all right, that's going to be the spot where Gunther wins. Oh, nope. Oh, this is going to be the spot where Cody wins. Oh, nope. And then Sami wins. And I'm like, whoa. And I love that he won on a roll up because we don't get title changes like that very often. And you need those to happen. And who are some others? Was Ron Simmons when the WCW? Was that one of those? Like there have not been that many.
To clarify, not a roll up, a rolling pinning combination, not cheap.
Yeah,
a roll up is cheap.
This was not. There's one I want to say 10, 20 years ago. I don't remember what it was, but like you don't get them very often, and you need those moments to happen so you believe when they could happen in the future. So like it was a great little touch. It fits his character too. Like you didn't have to have the heroes pinning to get the win because that's not his character. This is his character. So awesome match, unbelievably good finish in final few minutes, and just incredibly happy for a guy like Sami Zayn, who we've seen and known for a very long time before WWE, outside of WWE. He'd gotten, so old at this point with so many rising stars in the company that you kind of thought maybe just that was it. The time was done. And then when they start teasing Sami Zayn will never win, you're thinking, okay, maybe they do it, but they'll probably save it for Mania. And so you still get the surprise here. Just awesome stuff. Well done by everybody.
Yeah, it was perfect. And like you said, perfect doesn't mean 5 stars, but perfect is perfect. And
yeah,
that's what this was. Ron Simmons won with a power slam. I didn't want to interrupt you. A power slam and then just a regular cover on Vader, but it was rather sudden the way it happened. This obviously was a roll through, and it was just executed to perfection. I don't think they could have done it better. I'll stop saying that word. Look, the only way this could have been better if Kevin Owens was healthy and he came down to the ring and then he powerbombed Zayn into the apron, just like they did in NXT. I'm being slightly facetious.
No, I don't want to run back exactly
okay.
the NXT story.
But that would have been incredible.
It takes you out of it a little bit.
But it would have been incredible. And I don't think you were like fully invested in NXT then.
No, that's like now. Right when I got into it.
Okay, that was like a moment. So I'm just saying that would have been, or he comes down and like feigns like he's going to do that, but they just celebrate or something like that. Look, Sammy deserves this so much. It's not just a WWE 10-year award. It's a career honor. This is a lifetime achievement. There are so many times at so many other places that this could have occurred. Montreal at Elimination Chamber. I mentioned that earlier. Other opportunities in Saudi Arabia. WrestleManias. SummerSlams. This was almost the WWE version of the Knicks winning the NBA championship. I would say that Kofi Kingston was a closer facsimile to that, but this happened in the same month as the Knicks. It was such a 1-2 punch of cool moments for fans of both. And I'm not saying there's millions of those, but there's definitely thousands. And I'm one of them. Okay. So it was super cool for me. And by the way, Sami Zayn is not only now a Grand Slam winner in WWE, he's the first wrestler of Arab descent to win a WWE championship. On top of that, this was the culmination of a long bit of booking for him that started, it started really in late 2025, but it kicked into gear after he fell short at the Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia and continued into this altered character. The whole Gingerbread Man feud and the growing dissension with Cody, that was just a couple of months ago. This was not a pivot or a change of plans or anything like that. This was clearly the track taken to platform Zayn back into the main event and put the title around his waist at a Blood Money in the Sand show. We thought it was going to go from Saudi to Saudi, from the Royal Rumble to WrestleMania.
No.
It went from Saudi to Saudi, all right, from the Royal Rumble to Night of Champions. It's the first world title change outside of WrestleMania, SummerSlam, or television under Paul Levesque for the men. We had the right idea. We just had the wrong timeline. Would WrestleMania have been better? Maybe. Again, don't let perfection be the enemy of good. There's no doubt that this resonated. I have more to say beyond Sammy vintage, but did you have anything to add here?
After it kind of ended, to your point when you said maybe it was obvious and we should have known, it's also, we should have known maybe, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, but that this would be a place for Sammy to win the title, not at a main event of a WrestleMania. And so if you're going to do it, there would be 2 places to do it, here or at Mania. And of the 2, in hindsight, this was the more likely one. Because I'm just going to predict that Sammy doesn't hold the title all the way till Mania, which is okay.
I think that's fair to say.
More than deserving of World Championship.
I think that's fair to say, but we had prognosticated night 1 main event. Definitely not a night 2 main event situation. But it could have main evented night 1.
But like this show as well kind of leans into the Saudi aspect a bit more than I think a WrestleMania might, because Mania, they usually try to make that a kind of generic, big, international to everybody type of thing. But it all worked. It makes sense to him where I don't know how long he's going to hold it. We'll find out on SmackDown, I guess, or if he's on Raw, to see where it goes from there. A lot of different places it could go. SummerSlam, we'll talk about King of the Ring here, but really, really cool, awesome moment. It made sense to do it here. I had some other specific points about the match I wanted to shout out.
Do it.
The Sammy catching Cody's arm when it's dropped. incredible spot. Love that they did it, well executed. I just wish again it would have been the 3. Do 1, 2. Again, it's very inconsistent. But no, what I'm saying is, as we've said, sometimes they just tap the arm,
of course,
and decide to ring it. Sometimes they lift one arm. Now, when they lift the arm, it usually doesn't go down, but it would have been 1, 2, and then like Sammy just runs and comes out of nowhere to grab it. Right. Nitpick, great spot, really well executed. I like that. What else do I have? Gunther's entrance, fans chanting, singing the song. This is why we wanted that song there for so long. It's just a great sound, a great visual. Mark Nash, the ring announcer, who I really enjoy, you less so. He's wearing just like a regular white shirt under his jacket. Did not think it was a great look for a world championship ring announcement. Get a tie, get an actual dress shirt on there. Let's class it up a little bit. The backdrop through from announce table to announce table, perfectly executed. And the camera angle was really good too. Like it really looked like a big move and impactful, executed really well there. And the false finishes in this match were very, very strong. And
believable.
Like I said, this match,
that's the key. They were believable. Yeah.
Yeah. This match just gave you everything you'd kind of want out of a match. It was absolutely well done. And the last thing, I took a photo at the Big 12 championship game in 2024.
Always putting yourself over. It's unbelievable.
Always putting myself over.
Unfreaking believable.
Me and Sami Zayn and Jey Uso. And since then, 2 of them have won world championships. By the way, explaining college football. I spoke to Sammy for a couple of minutes. I think I actually also interviewed him and we played it on the show back in the day. But explaining college football to him was extremely funny because he just had no idea.
Yeah, he would have no reason to know or care about it. Like NFL, he probably gets a little bit. College football is a different beast, though.
Yeah, especially just his personality, but also coming from Canada.
Right.
Just none of it made any sense. It was extremely fun. But those guys have done those things now. I think it's time for me now to finish my story.
Hey,
become the 3rd in that photo.
Call Trips. See if he can get you in. Maybe he'll give you a Pat McAfee spot. I'm sure you'll draw the same audience that he will. Look, all salient points that you made. We've discussed ad nauseum in this podcast, the 3 arm drop situation. I'll just reiterate for clarity for anyone who might be a first-time listener. What Vintage and I both want is the classic. You're checking to see if this person is knocked out. You don't do anything except for drop the arm 3 times. 1, it falls. 2, it falls. 3, you hold it in the air or someone stops it. And you get that big reaction from the crowd because of it. What we hate.
Which they did in the Cena Gunther match, I believe.
I believe they did it in that.
They definitely did it in the McAfee Gunther match. But that's what just the inconsistency of it all.
It's the inconsistency
remains
and
weird.
I don't like the knocking of the arm, the nudging. Oh, I'm not getting a response. Okay, call the bell. Here they UFC did that the first time.
That's
that is UFC style. They nudged it the first time, and I'm like, oh, don't tell me. And then they pick the arm up, and I go, okay, fine, they're gonna stop it. That's cool. But like, don't do the nudge. So like, think of it this way: the nudge is 1, then the drop would be 2, right? In this current incarnation of it. Skip the nudge, just add 1 more part of the sequence. Drop, hold. That's all we're asking. It's so much better. And it gets you that huge crowd pop on the 3rd where it's, oh my God, we're demoralized. Oh wow, he's actually going to lose. Oh my God, he's still in it. Like that's what you want. And I don't understand the company that is based on storytelling and drama, why they don't give us that. And I know you feel the same way you just said it. So I wanted to clarify.
But having Sami Zayn make the catch here was
great.
Awesome.
Just do 2 drops before that as opposed to a nudge is what we're saying. That's all. Beyond Sammy, okay, let's look at the other 2 competitors here. So Cody, his arrogance cost him. First, making it a triple threat. Telling Zayn so emphatically he would never beat him. He wasn't good enough. And then in the match, going for that extra crossroads unnecessarily after he hit the centipede version. Now we know the crossroads is a shit move that doesn't beat anybody, according to Roman Reigns.
Yes.
He's 1,000% right. Okay. But Sammy had taken enough punishment and in that moment possibly could have lost with that. But Cody insisted on doing it again. And that has cost him many times before. So I thought that was important. And it's almost to the point now with this move where it's like, Cody, you should probably develop another finisher because it's not a strong finisher and you're the guy in WWE. As far as Rhodes going forward, in my opinion, he needs to stay away from this championship for a while, ideally until the winter, if not January 2027. It's stale. I understand you might want him being champion going into WrestleMania. For ticket sales reasons, that's fine. But you don't need to change the title until the winter or maybe January.
Here's the thing. They don't need to worry about WrestleMania ticket sales next year.
Great point.
It's in Saudi Arabia.
Viewership, interest, attention, though, you still want Cody in a main event.
I don't want Cody around the title for a while.
Totally.
He's what, a 3-time champion now? In within 2.5 years, he's won it 3 times. Let's do some new stuff. And I think they will. I don't think we'll come back to this for a bit. Cody at SummerSlam, a million things you could do. You know, like, is CM Punk going to come back? Do we go into that?
Right.
Like there's a lot of newer, fresher things.
I'll tell you, I don't think it's going to happen. They could book him against Gunther and have Gunther just beat him clean. And I'd be okay with that. Like, let that play out because Gunther didn't get his fair match. Do a stipulation, no disqualification, and let Gunther just beat Cody. It's fine.
Yes, but I also, so my prediction coming in was Gunther pins Sammy here, wins the belt, then beats Cody, retains the belt at SummerSlam. So if it's without a belt and Cody just beats, Gunther just beats him straight, that'd be cool.
It's almost better in that way to a degree, right? It's because it's a huge non-title match, which is what we always want and what WWE so frequently fails to deliver. That's the Cody part of it. Gunther, while not factoring into the finish, he was incredibly important here, obviously, both because Rhodes ate that finish far better. It doesn't matter to his character at all. He can bounce back from it. And Gunther could not have taken another fall given everything that he's already lost to Cody, those 2 matches, and all of those retirements that preceded them. He needed to protect his stature in the WWE space. So him not being involved in the finish was cool. He also got physical with Nick Aldis in the post-show, which could speak to his SummerSlam plans, or perhaps it's going to lead to a suspension and he doesn't do anything on the show. It's another possibility. Either way,
no way.
It's not just Zayn whose path forward is interesting coming out of this match. That's the main point I wanted to make. It's Rhodes and Gunther as well. I am extremely curious to watch SmackDown on Friday, not just because of Sammy as champion. I want to see what's going to happen with all 3 of these guys.
To clarify the Gunther thing, for anybody who didn't know, it was pretty late in the post show. Gunther is backstage in Gorilla and he's upset and he starts yelling at Aldis, saying he got like screwed or whatever. Aldis is doing this stuff. And he puts his hands on Aldis and he calls Aldis a failed wrestler. Specific term that he said, and kind of shoved him and then kind of gets out. Then they go back to the desk and Big E says, you know, people may not remember that Aldis is a wrestler. He's maybe not formally retired. Could this lead to something more? So the feeling coming out of that post show is that they're doing what we fantasy booked a million times over the last couple of years, which is Nick Aldis getting back in the ring.
But
we thought he would do.
Yeah. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
We thought he would do it with Drew McIntyre.
Exactly.
He didn't. Maybe he does it here with Gunther. And as a maybe a formal retirement type of thing where it's another career he killed, even if it's a career that kind of hasn't been doing anything.
Right.
But when Gunther entered on the really cool video board that they actually had set up, on both sides, it said career killer. So like they are still leaning into that. So maybe you bring all this back to kill his career real quick.
It makes sense. And I would not be surprised if this was earmarked for Drew McIntyre, but he got another movie role, like a significant role. And that's why he's not returning to WWE just yet. I wouldn't be surprised if this was earmarked for Drew. And now that he's not available, he's not returning, they switch it over to Gunther. Which similar European makes sense, you know.
Yeah. And you have all the Magnus tapes you can get from TNA.
Oh yeah.
And that type of stuff, and do something. It'd be fun. That's the feeling coming out. That's where if I had to guess right now, that's my guess for SummerSlam is Gunther Aldis. Now I've predicted this before and been wrong, but they really leaned into it.
I fully agree. That is my prediction as well. It's possible they do it. Don't forget, there is Saturday night's main event. And we have gotten matches like that before on that show. I don't know that you want to put Nick Aldis.
Gunther McAfee was a Saturday night's main event, I think.
I don't was it? It wasn't at WrestlePalooza?
No, I don't think so. Let me look here.
You might be right.
It was it was Backlash in St. Louis. So we're both
Backlash. Wow, we were both wrong on that. Both are legitimate possibilities. And I think because it's Aldis, it's like, oh, just do Saturday night's main event. Why wouldn't you? But it's all,
that makes more sense.
It's also Madison Square Garden Saturday night's main event.
Yes.
So I would almost say that SummerSlam night 1, if you put it on that card, it's almost a better fit than in a 4-match card, that's going to go 2 hours or whatever it is. In Madison Square Garden, where you're going to have Roman Reigns on that show, you're going to have Danhausen surely on that show, Cody Rhodes, etc. I don't know that you want to put Nick Aldis against Gunther.
Yeah,
we'll find out.
I love Magnus, Nick Aldis, but SummerSlam as like your first wrestling match in forever is also asking.
Better than WrestleMania, if we're being fair.
Yeah.
We have a lot more to talk about on this show, including King of the Ring, Queen of the Ring, etc. Normally, we do this off the top, Vintage. We talk about the broadcast as a whole, things that we thought about the presentation, but we wanted to get right into Sami Zayn winning the WWE Championship. Before we get into the rest of the card briefly, I do want to discuss the broadcast because it also did play a role in this match, as mentioned, with Cole's headset going out and then Graves taking over commentary briefly and then Cole taking it back from him, which I got to tell you guys, when Corey was calling this match on his own, it was way better than Cole. Like night and day difference. Maybe a change will come sooner than later, fingers crossed. But this was an incredibly strange broadcast from the opening match onward. Most notable was the audio being horrific for the entire show. Commentary, the ring, the crowd all sounded odd, but even worse than odd, it was inconsistent. I could barely hear Cole and Graves 1 minute, and then they would dominate the mix the next minute. They were so loud during the steel cage match after being incredibly quiet for King of the Ring. My video feed was also rather shit. That may have been a me issue. The overall video production had its own problems, including during the post-show where they missed the start of an interview and could not even get a camera in place despite a multi-minute delay to feed into the people who were in the studio. Even stranger was that WWE basically spent no time showing off the in-stadium production, which it always does, especially in Saudi Arabia. This show could have happened anywhere, and you never would have known its location. Gotta believe it was circumstantial in some way. Maybe they had satellite issues in the area due to, the ongoing war in the Middle East. Either that, or it was just the continued degradation of WWE production over the last couple of years. But Vintage, it has never been this inconsistent. And for a PLE, it's one thing if it's not right in the opening match, but it barely got better over the remainder of the show.
No, it's the worst audio I've heard in a long time. Shocking from WWE, where even if it's not right at the beginning, they get it fixed. And it was like when Cole was like talking normally, it would be okay. But when he would get loud to emphasize something, that's when it started to get kind of like muffled. Like it was coming from a crappy speaker.
Right.
Where you could like listen to a podcast but not listen to music. I don't know what it was. It was distracting the whole night. Shockingly poor. I'm not going to blame Michael Cole for that.
No.
But I will say Cole's call of Sami Zayn's win was not great. I think part of that was him, but part of that was also the audio issues because they were having different audio issues within that match, as you mentioned. And he just kind of says like miracle, Sammy wins. And then like, that's it. And it was just a bit muffled. It was very rough. That kind of just distracted from the moment a bit in most of the show. Yeah.
Cole did not meet the moment is what I would say in terms of the championship win for Sammy in the main event of that program. I will give him a little leniency because the headset issues at that juncture in the match as well. So it's not like it happened 10 minutes earlier. He had time to recover, find his feet. No, this all happened like within the final 2 to 3 minutes of the match. So I don't necessarily blame him in any individual way, but in addition to the audio mixing issues and whatever the hell was going on the entire show. Like, first of all, how do you have a 2-hour pre-show? How do you not get it right? And then you have a 3-hour show. How do you not correct it at some point before the main event? Especially because you have these 5-minute commercial breaks after every single match. So even if you don't want to mess with the audio during all of these individual, matches, you have 5 minutes to touch it. and it just never got better. But Cole did not meet the moment, and the audio quality did not meet the moment. I hope there's a local recording where they're going to be able to override whatever happened for replays and stuff. That way it's really solid in the future. But we've talked about this before, and we're not sticklers for production from the standpoint where a small mistake will just lambast and will criticize. But like, there has been a degradation in WWE's production for a long time now. And it's, is it the change in the leader? I mean, for all the issues and all the criticisms, I should say, that we gave to Kevin Dunn, and for all of the improvements that Lee Fitting has legitimately made in terms of how the pre and post shows work, different things are doing backstage, etc. For all of that, there seems to be a significantly reduced concentration on being perfect. And when you're WWE, just like when you're the NFL or you're the NBA, you need to be perfect. If you're the USFL or whatever it is now, the UFL, or, and I'm not degrading them, but AEW or a secondary league, and you have some mistakes and everyone's, they're not the top league. It's, it's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. When you're WWE and you're putting on a premium live event on ESPN and Netflix, it's okay if you have a couple issues. It should not be this error-filled, and it was. Beyond that, Vintage, I understand why WWE did the studio pre- and post-show in the United States rather than do it live in Saudi, which they would for any other premium live event. But it was a horrible decision to move into a quiet environment and cut off the live feed when there was so much energy in that stadium coming out of Sammy's win. That the post-show should have been Cole and Graves pontificating on the moment while in the environment, like the Inside the NBA guys do on the court after the NBA finals, rather than moving into a studio, which made it feel like the equivalent of a regular season game.
Yeah, it was lifeless, like truly lifeless. It felt that way when I watched the pre-show. And, we're used to when WWE goes international, they'll do the Friday shows where everybody comes out on stage, a lot of in-person stuff, show the crowd and all that kind of stuff. And there was just, it sounded so dry and lifeless pre-show, and then post-show to cut back to it. Yeah, it's not, I don't know what the exact setup was, the tensions and violence going on in the Middle East. Like, I don't know what the crowd looked like. I don't know if there were big, other than Sammy getting into the crowd at the end, it never really felt like you got a sense of what it was like to be there.
Yep.
And it's very possible and probably likely the unique circumstances of this Saudi show in particular played a factor in that. But even if you're going back to the studio, just like overlay it with some background crowd noise. It was like the difference during COVID, when they were in the Performance Center in silence versus when they went to the Thunderdome and added the fake crowd noise over it. It made a big difference. Inside
the NBA, other studio shows, the camera operators and producers, you can hear them laugh or react. There's life. Like, there's just this was dead silence.
They're talking over the visual and audio of what you're seeing in person without commentary. They basically take over for commentary and just talk over what's going on after the fact.
This was just dead silence, and it was extremely odd. I don't blame them for doing the studio show for this event, and I believe it was the right decision. But when Sammy is winning the title, because you're predetermining the outcome, right? When you know that's happening, you gotta stay with Cole and Graves for like 10 minutes, not just while Zayn is celebrating with the fans, but like taking in the moment, selling it to us as the audience, saying, this is monumental. Corey, the last time I experienced something like this, it was when Kofi Kingston won the title at WrestleMania 35. I cannot believe this happened. Corey, what about you? And you talk about it for a while, and you try to bring Sammy over to do a post-show interview, or if you can't get Sammy, you bring someone else from backstage, or Cody, what do you think? You just lost the WWE Championship. You said Sammy was never going to win this. Like, there are so many creative, fun, authentic things that WWE could have done after that match. And I'm glad they interviewed him on the stage, Sammy. That was solid. They missed the start of that interview because of a production issue. But then that ends, and they just go, all right, screw this. Like, screw the atmosphere. Back to the studio, folks. And then it was just dead silence for 35 minutes.
It felt like
it was weird.
Everything about this Saudi show felt like in and out. And no frills, none of that other stuff we often do because of all the situation, like in and out. And that's
it's the circumstances.
And I understand that.
It was clear. Yeah.
Yeah.
It affected the broadcast. There's no question. All right. We've talked about that for long enough. Some of you, Silver King, Vintage, why aren't you talking about King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring? All right. We're going to get to it right now. All right.
Real quick. Couple other things. I thought the stage looked great.
Okay.
I love the big video board. They did it in a creative way. The crowd was good. Shout out to the Saudi crowd. As
when we could
always
hear,
say,
when we could hear them, they sounded good. Yeah. Most of the time.
Yeah. Like we always say, like, we don't like the Saudi shows, but nothing about the Saudi people who we think are pretty good. So I thought everything looked pretty good. There was that, but not a ton of like what we got from previous shows, as you said.
Indeed. Just remember, Silver King tried to push us forward here, and Vintage pushed us back so he could tell you that stuff. No, I'm kidding. All really solid points from you. Let's move to the remaining 5 matches on this card, starting with the King of the Ring final, Obafemi against Jey Uso. Jey entered first for obvious reasons, and the pop was enormous as usual. As he completed the entrance, someone had a huge "If Jey wins, we riot" sign. Smarks in Saudi, man. Hysterical. Us stared at the crown during an extended delay until Femi's music hit. Commentary completely laid out, which was perfect. Best thing they did all night. Oba wore Big Show white for the first time in his career. Between the start of the show and the long entrances, this was first on the card, by the way, it took 11 minutes into hour 1 on ESPN for the action to begin. They got to speed that up. Femi no-sold a barrage early, pounced Us, but ate 2 tope suicidas before halting the third with an elbow. Jey flipped out of both a chokeslam and fall from grace, hitting an Uso splash for not even a 1 count, getting lifted up and chokeslammed for it. Us hit 3 super kicks, 2 spears, 1 in the corner, and 2 more Uso splashes for a 2 count. He moved into Gunther's sleeper hold, but Oba quickly escaped and bludgeoned Jey with European uppercuts, his toss slam, and fall from grace to win in 8 minutes and become King of the Ring. After the bell, he said it feels great to go from ruler to king. He told Us that he's more than a man because he has fate and destiny behind him. And then Oba ran through all of his monikers while celebrating. And guess what? Nothing else happened. No Brock Lesnar. Now, I would say perfection achieved, but Jey got a little bit too much in this match. I wish it was more 50-50 or even 60-40 for Jey, as opposed to what felt to me like 70-30 until the finish. That said, as commentary explained, Jey had a massive experience advantage. He is a former world champion, so it was not totally illogical. It's just that Oba should not have gone longer with Jey than I believe either match with Brock. Even for a King of the Ring final, it was unnecessary. Other than that, this was, again, exactly what it needed to be with Oba from a booking standpoint. He did not win in dominant fashion, no, but he did so without interference or bullshit, and he continues to have one of the most spectacular rookie years in WWE history from an achievement standpoint. Not having even a post-match appearance from Lesnar was absolutely crucial because Femi and the crowd were able to soak in the moment. Other than the match not being anything to write home about, it was exactly what it needed to be, exactly what we wanted, and more or less, exactly what we predicted on the Ultimate Preview. Oba is one of one in my 3 decades watching wrestling, and he's being booked like it. I am not saying he's Lesnar. Lesnar was a freak of nature who was a different one of one. But I have never seen someone come into a company, and really his debut on any main roster in professional wrestling, and forget about the way he's being booked. The response he's getting from the crowd is akin to Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. And the guy has been there for what, 5 months at this point, maybe 6. In a moment, okay, we'll discuss what this means for SummerSlam. For a match grade, I'll give it 3 stars, B-. That might even be generous, but it was the right winner, crowned the right way, and it continues what has almost been perfect booking for Obafemi, which, Vintage, you and I on the Ultimate Preview said, despite all the concerns about Jey possibly winning and being in the final and Brock interfering and what Roman Reigns wants in kayfabe and all this stuff, the one point that we both agreed upon and made on that Ultimate Preview was that WWE has been booking Femi perfectly, and it would be counter to all of that to not have him win King of the Ring. Well, they didn't counter any of that. They had him win King of the Ring.
Yes, and I predicted nothing from Brock because you need your king and queen to like kind of hold that for a minute before something happens. It would have kind of just nerfed the whole tournament to just have him attack either during or after. I thought this was a really good match. Like I enjoyed it. I'd probably give it like a B. I thought it was. I thought the story they told made sense. Jay is a former world champion who made Gunther tap out. Like he can get some offense in. And in terms of it going longer than the Brock matches, that just makes sense in terms of the style. Like Brock's just hitting finishers and doing pins. Like Jay's the style of the match just naturally went longer. That's why like long matches versus quick matches, it's not always the best determination. I think sometimes long matches go long for no reason. This Jay got a couple of good false finishes in where it's like, all right, he built enough stuff together where you feel like Oba kicks out and it means something that he kicked out. And, Jay goes after the midsection early, keeps attacking that. Like, it was a pretty good story. I thought everybody in here did a good job. It was the right winner. I thought Jay got enough in that, like, hey, it's a good effort against a guy that just nobody other than Brock can stop. So I thought this was well done all around. My only criticism is he didn't put the crown on. And I'm guessing the reason is on Raw. They will do a crowning ceremony or something like that. But I don't know. When you win the King of the Ring, you should put the crown on then. To me, that's what it used to be. You'd win it, you'd go over to the throne, you'd sit, you'd get crowned, you'd do all this stuff.
Well, it wasn't just that. You got the scepter, you got the robe. It was a whole thing.
Just like handing him the crown, but then he just like holds it and then walks off is just weird. You want to crown him, then crown their ass.
What I found a little odd, good reference.
That was a reference, by the way, to Denny Green shout out for people who didn't know. That's what it was.
I didn't mean to run over it, but I did get that. Yeah, it was solid. What I found weird, and maybe I'm wrong or I'm forgetting, didn't Paul Levesque offer the crowns in prior iterations of this?
I'm trying to remember. I'm mixing up the crowns and the
crown jewel.
The crown jewel belts
maybe
in my
it was
head.
those titles
so
and
offhand, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm forgetting too. But I found it a little bit weird that it was like the general managers doing it, number one. And I largely agree with you. But if memory serves, Oba is not the first person to refuse to put the crown. I think Gunther last year didn't put it on either, if memory serves. So I think what the issue is that the men's crown is so large that it doesn't actually fit on their heads, and that it would either fall off or have to be put on to the top and back rather than firmly on top. I believe there's some type of issue there. If that's the case, you put something inside the ring, that way it can fit on the head, or whatever.
Yes.
It also, there's a comical aspect to it to a degree that I think people would take them less seriously. People like Gunther and Oba, if they're putting the crown on, as opposed to Austin Theory winning it, or I'm just trying to find someone else,
Gunther, yes, but Oba, no. He's literally the ruler.
He's the ruler. I know. I would have loved
him
to have
wearing
seen him
him wearing a crown looks freaking awesome.
I know. I would like that as well. So I
just put it on a shirt.
I believe it's not.
Put it on a post. You put it on a poster. Like that would sell.
What I'm saying is, I don't think it's happenstance. I think it's like purposeful that they're not.
No, I agree. Because it hasn't. I don't know if it's happened or not. It didn't happen later. Like it's not a normal thing. I'm just saying it should.
I wouldn't be surprised if when you get a heel winning these, male or female, and it's a heel who is more flamboyant outwardly, that they will make a show of it. To this point, I do appreciate that they're treating it with so much more seriousness than it used to be, where you had that big purple robe and this scepter and you sat in the chair and you did the whole thing, and then they would do something about it on Raw or SmackDown, and like it was so trite and ridiculous.
You do that for a Booker T and an Owen Hart. You don't need to do that for a Gunther, but I do think they should wear it at least in the honoring of the victor. My guess is, again, I'm guessing they're going to do it on Raw and SmackDown.
I think they should put it on the head, pose for a picture, and then you want to take it off your head and hold it in your arm. Totally fine. That's what I would do.
I'm guessing they're going to do the ceremony on the show, which I get, but it doesn't feel climactic enough in the moment when you've won it.
I would also
here's a crown. You just hold it.
You know what I would also like, Vintage? I would like them to drop the lights, do like a purple glow, just a little bit, not the whole ring, but just a little bit of a purple glow, drop the lights and play that coronation sound as opposed to the person's theme music. So like make it a little bit of a moment without overshadowing the promo that comes afterward. I love that they cut the promo afterward in the way they do that.
I do too.
But just,
literally, my only complaint about any of this was just put it on your head.
Basically, the treatment I want is the treatment they do for the match introductions for championship main events. Something like that with like that extra camera lens, and they drop the lights in a little bit. You have the announcer do it. The new 2026 King of the Ring, Oba Femi. You play the music, yes. The lights are a little bit purple, you put the crown on, you take a picture, and then you take it off and you go and cut your promo. Like that's what I would do, just a little bit more to your point. Now, getting out of this coronation, okay, with SummerSlam now ahead, the question is whether Oba will be fighting one or two opponents on that show. Now, he will almost certainly open Monday Night Raw and eventually challenge Roman Reigns for the World Heavyweight Championship. That's what we're expecting. That would main event night 2 of SummerSlam, no doubt. As I have long said, the move will likely be Femi fighting on both cards. A retirement match against Brock Lesnar on night 1, preceding the Reigns match. He retires Brock after an all-time war.
Big meaty man slapping meat. That's what I want.
Maybe even to what you mentioned, he suffers a midsection injury. It was interesting that they started telling that early in this match with the tope suicidas and the spears for Jay. Well, guess what moves Brock uses? The German suplex, the spear, the F5. Guess what moves Roman Reigns uses, right? All midsection stuff. So they might be starting us down a particular track here. But the point is, he could then theoretically, if he's banged up, lose against Roman without it stinging too much, or he could win both and be a completely made man, but one without anywhere to go because now he's retired Brock Lesnar, won King of the Ring, and beaten Roman Reigns inside of 6 months. We have plenty of time to discuss all of this. As far as the booking trajectory, I'd have Femi open Monday Night Raw, like I said, prepared to announce his challenge, only for Lesnar to interrupt and kick it off from there. You could even put Lesnar's career against Femi's number 1 contendership on night 1, with the winner then advancing to fight Reigns. Both solid options. Either way, I am far more excited for SummerSlam right now than I was when Night of Champions began.
I guess. I mean, it's exactly what we predicted. We predicted Oba would win. But it didn't happen. And
now it's happened.
Okay. I mean, I'm not any more excited because it's kind of what I thought was going to happen. But
okay.
That's what I think. You don't even need... Like, what is the order? Do you have him challenge Roman and set that first and then throw the Brock thing on it a week or two later to build that up? Because you don't... Which of the two is going to be bigger? I don't know. And we're just, again, we're assuming, predicting they do too. They may not. We didn't predict Sammy winning the championship, so we might be wrong here. But I like the idea of do an official crowning ceremony. Roman comes out. Hey, you called me out at WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. We're doing this. Boom. Like, great way to go. Love it. And at some point, Brock, something. I think you beat Brock, you retire him to open night 1. And then you lose to Roman night 2.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't need to do all of this at SummerSlam, of all places. You heard the Saudi crowd chanting Oba's theme as he walked to the ring before the match tonight. This dude's crazy over at Saudi Arabia. Crown him at the next WrestleMania. That'll be have him beat Roman there or something like that. He does not need to win the title this quickly. Retiring Brock Lesnar in a 2-match effort is more than a good consolation prize if that was to happen. But they continue to do great stuff with Femi. It matches what they like. Oba called out Roman on the post show of WrestleMania. Like, they've been building to this since WrestleMania. Him and Sammy makes very little sense. I hope they follow through with it.
Well, that was the second question I was going to ask. Is there any chance Oba goes after Sammy instead? Now, the only reason I say that is due to the fact that Femi almost beat Rhodes on his main roster debut at Saturday night's main event. And they did close SmackDown with Rhodes and Femi staring at one another. So having him go after the WWE Championship on SmackDown, it's not an impossibility, especially because Zayn is clearly the weaker champion than Reigns. The reason I don't see that happening is that it would make Oba look weak to go after the weaker guy. And this is someone who is all about, kicking the shit out of Brock Lesnar. You just want to go through everyone and prove you are the top dog of the company. And if you're going to be the top dog, well, you need to beat the big dog, right? And that's Roman Reigns. So that I was going to throw out the possibility. I'm glad you kind of squashed it on your end because I completely agree with you. Now we'll move on, but I did want to reiterate something we talked about on the Ultimate Preview. Jay losing so definitively to Oba in such an important spot when Roman had tasked him with claiming the other world championship, that should lead to a further fracturing of their relationship as early as Monday. We've seen some thin cracks already occur with the addition of Jacob Fatu. This should be used to prove that Reigns has not changed, no matter what he claims, and exacerbate the boiling tensions between Roman and Jay, even if Reigns doesn't realize that's exactly what's happening in the background.
Yes. I just don't think it's going to happen too quickly. And it's because of some other stuff that happened on SmackDown that we'll talk about on Tuesday's show. I think we get to Jay versus Jacob at some point. Don't think it's going to be SummerSlam. Might even be Mania next year. But yes, this needs to come up. I do also wonder, when are we going to get Sammy and Roman face-to-face? Will we get Sammy and Roman face-to-face with Sammy as the champion?
Bro, it might happen at Crown Jewel.
Is he going to be champion by then, though?
If they're both still champions at Crown Jewel, you get that match. I mean, that's tasty.
It is. Or do they cross each other's paths backstage at SummerSlam or something? I don't know. Like, I hope we get that moment. I'm not expecting Sammy to go on a long reign, but I want Roman to have to acknowledge that Sami Zayn won the championship.
Even if you don't get it with Roman, and we should get it, you're right. Because like the Usos have been back and forth, do we get Jay or Jimmy acknowledging that on SmackDown? Right? Because we have seen them over there recently. So it's really interesting. And look, he is now the third Bloodline member to become a world champion in WWE. That's not nothing, man. Like the list of factions where you can claim something like that, it's a handful at most, especially winning those titles in and around being in the faction, which is crazy. So yeah, there's a lot to kind of move forward here. To your point, we'll put a pin in it. We'll discuss it further on Tuesday, our normal WWE episode, which will also be a second look at Night of Champions. And we have plenty more to discuss on this episode. Before we get to it, Silver King needs to remind you that whether it is Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, or premium live events like Night of Champions on Netflix, we are all in with NordVPN. It is easy to set up, a drastically better viewing experience each night. You get the same high quality streams, except they become commercial-free shows. All you have to do is sign up at nordvpn.com/gettingover, open the app, quick connect to another country like the United Kingdom, open Netflix, and watch the program of your choice. To get the best discount, go to nordvpn.com/gettingover. Our link will give you 4 extra free months off the 2-year plan, and there's no risk. Nord has a 30-day money-back guarantee. So improve your WWE viewing, save money, browse safer online, and get the best discount for the best VPN, which Silver King and Vintage both use to watch Night of Champions. NordVPN.com/gettingover. It is great to have NordVPN as the official single sponsor of the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. Now, we spoke about King of the Ring. Let's talk Queen of the Ring. Io Sky versus Liv Morgan. Danhausen, believe it or not, was in the middle of a stage segment that preceded this match when Liv interrupted, demanding Judgment Day's money back. And you know what happened next? Danhausen refused, so she smacked him square across the face.
What is the 5 fingers say to the face? What? Slap!
It's honestly more like she hit him on his temple with half of a fist. It looked like it legitimately hurt. And then Danhausen cursed Morgan. Vintage, I absolutely hated this. Not only was it insanely telegraphed, it gave away the match winner and created a ridiculous excuse for Liv to lose a tournament final that she should not have even been part of in the first place. It was so stupid. It was also
so dumb.
A curse on Monday leading to the gradual breakup of Judgment Day. That would have worked better. This was absolutely ridiculous. It was the worst Danhausen segment since his debut, purely due to the creative plan, nothing on his part. It pissed me off so much.
Danhausen was fine. It was just the telegraphing of well, I think we know who's going to lose this match now. And also, like, what was even the point before Liv came out? Was it clear what he was doing other than just saying hello, Riyadhausen? He's got a lot of obviously momentum and popularity right now. You want him on the show, fine. This felt like, again, we're trying to get in and out of Saudi Arabia here. Let's just throw him into something before a match and move on. And very frustrating when it happened because it took a lot of the drama out of the match that was to come.
It sure as shit did. So I loved the clear visual differential between the black and pink gear that they were wearing. It seemed like Io got a loud pop and chance, but the audio was so poor it was impossible to tell. Some young boys helped Io climb the barricade for a splash, and then she ran back over and smacked hands with them after. Hopefully she's allowed to leave the country after that. Liv came back with three amigos, then stepped back to prevent a missile dropkick, moving into a Boston Crab she held for 1 second until Io rolled through into a double stomp, her missile dropkick, her emote, and then the bullet train attack. The crowd finally, or fully, I should say, got behind her. Morgan snuffed that out with a backstabber. Sky answered with a springboard moonsault ringside and double underhook backbreaker, but Liv intercepted over the moonsault by pushing Io off the top rope into the stairs, leading to a left knee injury that got attacked with the same half crab that submitted Charlotte Flair. Morgan executes that quite well, by the way, so credit to her. Sky crumbled, trying to run the ropes, consequently eating a springboard codebreaker. Io dodged Oblivion, but missed a hanging double stomp, again buckling the knee. She nevertheless caught her on the top rope for a Spanish fly, following with over the moonsault to become queen of the ring in about 15 minutes. After the bell, she wasted no time donning the crown, calling herself queen, and then challenging Liv to a second match at SummerSlam 5 weeks from now. Io is now a Royal Rumble away from having won every major championship and accomplishment in WWE, notwithstanding the mid-card titles. This got twice as much time as the men, deservingly so, and we obviously saw the correct person win. What it also deserved was a much better crowd that cares more about women's wrestling. It's not like the Saudis were Lafayette or anything, and the audio issues definitely played a role. But this would have been red hot in front of an American or European crowd that appreciates them more than they do. It was slower than I expected, and after Liv made regular progress for the last few years, I feel like she's taken like half a step back the last couple of months. It's probably due to her not getting a lot of ring time because she doesn't have any
challengers. She's not wrestling.
Yeah, she's not wrestling. So she's probably just getting rusty and stuff. Also, beyond Liv, Io selling the knee incredibly well. Also, Io not selling the knee on the final moves, the Spanish fly and the over the moonsault, both of which need the knee for pushing off. It was antithetical to the match story. Further souring it, as I mentioned above, was Danhausen's completely ridiculous and totally unnecessary curse. Liv didn't even lose the match for a curse reason, like she tripped or a rope broke or something like that. She just lost. And no, that was better. You're right. But why do the curse if that's not even going to be the thing that ends the match? That's what I'm trying to say.
Bingo.
So I get that it was logical in storyline given the last 2 weeks of booking on Raw and her interactions with Danhausen, but nothing should be interfering in a tournament final, be it other wrestlers, managers, or a very nice, very evil vampire. This was a creative failure and hopefully something that does not happen again on a major show. TV match outcome, fine. Tournament final at a PLE, get effed. We'll get to the SummerSlam part of this in a moment. I do want to end by clarifying that I'm thrilled Io won in case you didn't hear that from me. I wish he had a stronger opponent, a better match, and a better crowd. I'm between a B and a B plus for this. I'm going to say 3.5 stars B. I just don't really think it ever reached a different level. And now that we know they're rematching, I wouldn't be surprised if they were saving something for SummerSlam.
Yes, that's probably the case too. I thought the match was like fine, but like you said, it never really got to another level. Everybody could probably sense after the curse who was going to win. And it was what it was. We were not thrilled about this going in because it was just a bizarrely set up match. Like we're rooting for Io to win to then fight Liv again. Like it didn't quite fit. Happy for Io, well deserving. She continues to rack up the accolades as she, continues what will be a Hall of Fame career at this point.
Oh yeah.
Women's champion, won at WrestleMania last year. You win Queen of the Ring this year. Like
Money in the Bank, she's NXT. Yeah.
Money in the Bank. Like she's doing it all. And it's another great thing to kind of get on the belt. And I guess we'll hope they do a better job in 5 weeks.
Yeah, all she's missing is a Royal Rumble win at this point. I mean, the women's mid-card titles would be nice, but she wins the Royal Rumble. She's pretty much got everything important in WWE. And that's, I mean, you think about it, she almost left the company, right? She was ready to go because Vince McMahon didn't believe in her and her contract was coming up. And, then Triple H started Damage Control. He brought Bayley and Io Sky and Dakota Kai, and that's at SummerSlam, ironically.
Yeah.
What was it, 4 years ago? And now look at what Io Sky's accomplished on the main roster.
And when earlier, like the split from Rhea and the Asuka match not happening on WrestleMania,
not having Kairi Sane, her getting released.
Yeah, everybody was extremely down on that. But we said at the time, we know Triple H absolutely loves her, and I would not be surprised if they had penciled in for a while. We'll get you right back up with Queen of the Ring and a big spot at SummerSlam.
She's the best women's wrestler in the world, and she's largely booked like the best women's wrestler in the world. And at some point, you got to respect that. As far as SummerSlam goes, like we've discussed before, rematching this 5 weeks later, it's not only stupid and boring, it was totally avoidable. Now, perhaps they purposefully held back a bit here. Like I said, Morgan should not have been in this tournament at all. And if she was going to be, she should have been eliminated in the first round where she could have lost without taking a fall. Now, rather than build toward the title match, we're more than halfway there from a storyline standpoint with 5 weeks to go. There's not even obvious TV booking ahead, considering Morgan has a faction and Sky's best friend is on the other brand and she's injured. Beyond that, we could probably predict the booking today and be mostly right about what's going to happen at SummerSlam without even seeing the further build. So the challenge after the bell, it was ultimately an eye roll instead of a moment. Like, I believe they thought it was Io putting a stake in the ground and flexing and saying, I just beat you and I'm going to beat you again. But to me, it was like, she's not going to beat her twice. Like, we all know this. It's just ridiculous.
How do you not, in place of Liv, do Raquel or Roxy to get to this point? Liv tries to interfere in the match to help the Judgment Day person win. Doesn't work. Io wins. She immediately challenges Liv at SummerSlam, and Liv's like, oh no, I screwed up. What have I done? How do you not do that?
Or even, because, I do not want interference in these tournament finals. Or even doesn't help. And then Roxy's like, why weren't you there for me? Like, I have been there for you, right? And
no. She tries to interfere and help, and it doesn't work. Io overcomes the interference.
No, I understand. I understand what you're saying. But what I'm saying is there should not be, at the base level, interference in King or Queen of the Ring finals. Like,
I'm fine with it from a heel as long as it doesn't lead to then victory. Thanks.
Sure, she'd have to overcome it for a significant period of time. Right. Yeah, I guess we're on the same page largely, which is that if they had put Roxanne Perez,
putting somebody else instead of Liv here would have elevated that person and helped better set up the Io Liv. It made no sense for Liv to go this far.
If you gave Roxanne Perez, who I like Liv as a wrestler, I think she has improved so much over her career. I've put her over many times. If you gave this spot to Roxanne Perez and gave her a 15-minute match with Io, and Roxy is an incredible talent, and we know Io is the best, and let's just let them go out and bang, right? When you come out of that match, you've made Perez, Sky still wins, and now Morgan still has to defend her title. And in the interim, you could have bubbled up any challenger for Liv to have a 3-week feud with and defend the title on the Go Home Raw. And instead, you shoehorned Morgan into this, and everything was worse because of it. It was just a totally avoidable situation that WWE booking got wrong. And look, we have praised their booking on this show, okay? And we are usually pessimistic and critical. I mean, we praise when it's appropriate, obviously, and we criticize when it's appropriate. But this was a down point in terms of their creative over the last month plus. They just got this wrong. They got Io right. They got the Liv part of it wrong. Let's move on. Seth Rollins versus Braun Breaker inside a steel cage. There were multiple video packages for Night of Champions on the Go Home SmackDown. This was the only one that had new content. Breaker said he stopped Rollins from continuing to use deception to prey on others. Rollins said he needs to right the wrong of platforming Breaker, and the steel cage will ensure that there's no hiding for either of them. I thought it was a pretty well done video.
So there was also on the pre-show, Big E kind of like interviewed Braun while they're working out in the gym and like lifting weights. It was pretty well done.
Oh, we got two big meaty men bumping me tonight.
Yeah, they were clanging and banging. And by the way, on the post show, I got to clip this for the podcast. On the post show, Big E was interviewing the winner of this match, who noted to him that he's a big man in some ways, but wide, not tall, which like broke the entire desk, and it broke me watching it live. So I got to clip that because I have a feeling we're going to be able to use that for like, Bronson Reed and Otis and some other guys on this podcast. Anyway, this was the first premium match off of ESPN TV. Rollins threw a ton of weapons into the ring and sat on a chair while waiting for Breakker to enter in a gold version of his absolutely awful gear. He followed suit with even more weapons. Cole claimed this would be the final chapter of their feud before the match even began, which was interesting. Breakker took a seat as Rollins talked trash. That led to a brawl at the bell. This was rather formulaic early. Seth wore out Braun with a kendo stick and literally threw 3 chairs at him across the ring before taking a Breakensteiner into a pile of chairs. Breakker followed with his flying lariat, springboarding off the ropes, threw Rollins in a chair. Braun then yelled at Seth, calling him a crazy old man that he was going to kill. Rollins avoided an attempted golf swing with a steel chair while seated on a steel chair. I'm sorry. His body was seated on a steel chair. He was like hanging onto it. Then he countered with a, I guess, Van Daminator. It was a super kick version, but it was still a Van Daminator, only to eat a spear, countering the stomp for a false finish. Breakker set up to splash Rollins on a table, but when he chose to climb to the top of the cage instead, Seth followed with a draping superplex off the top, with Braun immediately getting cut open hard way at the corner of his left eye. He intercepted another stomp with a lariat as blood pooled, and he hit a triple rope run spear for another false finish. Seth prevented a door escape with Braun pulling the door closed into Rollins' head. And I want to briefly pause. Did you think that was the end of the match and that Breakker might then walk out of the cage?
Yes.
Okay, I did too. But it was not. Seth avoided an ensuing spear with Braun crashing through a prop table before Rollins followed with a pedigree and a stomp for a false finish that got me. I thought that was the end of the match. Rollins went for another stomp, but Breakker put his arm up, basically begging him to stop. So Seth did exactly that. As Braun was trying to power himself up, he could barely stand. So Rollins, in probably the cleanest motion that he has hit in years, leapt onto and off of the second rope for a super stomp to win and defeat Breakker. These guys are now 4 for 4 in what have been absolutely outstanding
Banger
matches. Talk about over-delivering. They stuck to the true meaning of a cage match. They limited it to only one escape attempt in a dire situation. They basically held a Hell in a Cell without a top or ringside area, given the weapons and the violence, which exceeded expectations. This was probably the best steel cage match in WWE since Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus a few years ago, ironically enough. Classic. It's rare that I enjoy finishes like this. I always prefer matches to reach a crescendo and then pay off in the moment, like the WWE Championship match earlier in this show. But considering the extended story behind the feud and how strong Breakker was booked, not going down to a sequence that would have defeated 95% of the roster, it felt appropriate, especially considering their relationship began with respect for one another. Expecting that to fly out of the window, it's actually less realistic than the alternative, which is what we got here. What I liked most about this match is how it built and built and built tension-wise, and the finish was indicative of the superstars. Brute strength and force exceeded only by experience and guile from a future Hall of Famer. It was easily the best of the first 3 matches on the card. Really, it was the best of the first 5 matches on the card, and I have it as an absolute no-brainer A. 4.25 stars as of now. I might go up another quarter, though. The unexpected blood, again, it means so much more when you don't see it 3 times a week. Braun panicking when he didn't win with the spear, and then the super stomp finish, it put it over the top for me, telling viewers that Breakker is the future, but Rollins right now is still the veteran who's closer to a championship. I thought they nailed it.
Yeah, I was thinking 4.25, maybe 4.5 right there with you. This match rocked. This was awesome. The multiple false finishes completely got me. Great spots. The bleeding, the accidental bleeding, again, added so much. And it all made sense. Like, he needed to go to Avalanche Stomp to put him away, which I get the idea that protects Braun. I do think Seth was the wrong winner here, unless this means Seth is about to get some big match at SummerSlam and he needed to be kind of kickstarted into that here, which is fine. But would have been I had thought Braun would win, the idea of the vision being Seth has brought these new guys up to be like kind of the future and then take his place, and then somebody does. But it's just not happening yet. The injuries kind of wrecked what the vision was going to be. Still thought Braun would win at the end. Didn't. Don't love it unless it depends what Seth is doing next. Because Michael Cole made very clear after the match, he's like, Seth can finally put the vision behind him, move on to his next challenge. It's done. And while part of me thinks maybe that's a swerve, does Bronson Reed attack him on Monday and here we go again? I do think it's best for everybody to just get out of this. The vision thing just was cursed from the beginning. Let's actually move on. And sure, but Braun will need something to kind of get back up, and I'm curious what that'll be.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say it was cursed from the beginning. I'd say it was cursed from the middle. And then onward, once Rollins got injured, it just completely fell apart. If you told me that the vision went as planned and then Rollins won the final match, I would say it's the wrong decision. But it didn't go as planned. And with everything that changed and all the pivots they needed to make, because Rollins and Breakker both got injured before WrestleMania, and then Bronson Reed got injured, and then Logan Paul got injured. Like, they just need to end it and move on for the sake of everyone that's involved in it. Now, I'm not saying the vision's dead. It's very possible it continues with those four guys, and that's okay if it does. Like, I like the fact that it's three young dudes and Reed kind of together and all kind of working toward a similar goal. There's a lot of things you can do with Breakker. If the vision was operating at full capacity as it was originally planned coming out of WrestleMania 41, it is quite likely that Obafemi debuts on SmackDown instead of Raw, and that he's doing all the same stuff going after Cody Rhodes rather than Roman Reigns, and that Braun Breakker is a lot further in his career than he otherwise is. But the truth of the matter is that Oba has come in and he's completely stolen the thunder for Braun, and that's okay because he was always going to. People just didn't see it because he was down in NXT and Breakker got called up early. But, just because Oba's your top guy doesn't mean that Breakker can't be something significant. And I know there's a lot of people out there who thought Breakker was an A-side this entire time. I believe I've said it before, and if I haven't, that's my fault. I've always seen Breakker as a B-side. And you can have an incredible Hall of Fame career as a B-side. Just ask Randy Orton, okay? Not everyone is Cody Rhodes, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Triple H to a degree, Brock Lesnar. Obafemi fits in that camp. TBD on Trick Williams. I'm starting to now think, I've always kind of believed he's more of a B-side than an A-side, but Braun Breakker is most likely a B-side as well, especially in this incarnation. They can change it. He needs new gear. They got to get away from calling him a badass and doing all the dog shit. It's okay to be a Steiner and to, show some of that, but the guy can't look like he currently looks and main event of WrestleMania. It's not going to happen. Not as the A-side, especially. Correct. So this, to me, hopefully, is an opportunity for them to take him off TV for a couple of months. And when he comes back, refresh the character. Do the leather jacket. You can do the dog barking. You can have some of those elements be the same, the visual elements of it, the feeling you get when he comes out. But stop with the badass or the dog or the barking and all that shit. Get him different ring gear and make this guy a serious dude. And then if they do that and they don't start putting him over, then I will complain. But in this current incarnation of Breakker, to me, that's why Rollins winning was correct. Rollins is way closer to a championship than Breakker is. Therefore, he needed to win the feud.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I have said you got to make him Scott Steiner and not Rick Steiner.
Yeah.
And it starts with have him just wrestle in trunks. He looks like $1 million. He looks more impressive when he's running out to do a spear in pants than he is wearing the singlet.
Totally.
Also on this singlet was the 23 miles per hour thing that they sometimes use for him. I hate it. It's a slow speed limit. It's slower than the slowest speed limit that we're used to. I get the idea that running 23 miles per hour is fast.
Right. Isn't a school zone 20?
When you see it on a speed limit sign, you associate it with slow. So stop doing that. Get him out of a singlet. Let him show off his incredible physique. I'm okay with the barking and stuff.
Yeah.
Have him. He's probably not going away. I don't know. I guess Logan Paul's hurt, so maybe you could kind of do whatever. But he's still got a lot of potential. I still would have liked to see him win here, but your points, I think, are fair. I'm just not sure what you also want to happen is coming.
Calling him the badass is so Vince McMahon coded. Like, it's awful. It's so
80s
terrible.
WCW type stuff.
It's so, yeah, he looks that way too. Like with the gear and especially with the font, and most of them are red, black, and white. It's just, the whole look needs to be, he's so young. They have plenty of time to do all of this. That is why I'm so totally fine with Rollins winning. This should be a moment in his career where he leaves, comes back, an altered, not different, but altered dude. Now, pushing this forward, if Femi somehow chooses Zayn over Reigns, Rollins is at least, after this match, ready to step into that Night 2 main event at SummerSlam, which you'll remember we reported was supposed to be at the WrestleMania 42 match. If not, Seth needs to be involved in something massive on that show, considering this accomplishment. I don't even know what that could be at this juncture. Rollins is so far beyond the Intercontinental Championship, and that is right now a fully mid-card title with Penta as champion, a plethora of contenders, including potentially Chad Gable. So I don't know what match you put this guy in at SummerSlam if it does not involve one of the two major titles, because there's no way, I don't think, for you to get Rollins as a top contender for Zayn. So I just don't have it right now. Usually I can give you a prediction. It's going to have to be, something we think about going into Tuesday's WWE show. A couple more matches still to break down here, but Silver King does need to remind you at the Getting Over Wrestling podcast.
I happen to love the number 5.
And I hope you do as well. For $5 a month, $50 for the entire year, you can become an official Getting Overhead. Just visit buymeacoffee.com/gettingover, sign up. You'll get bonus audio, the fastest 5 minutes in professional wrestling, instant reactions for that audio, and exclusive news analysis posts every week. Don't forget to sign up. It supports the continuation of the show, keeps our lights on, gets you some extra content as well. buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. 2 more matches on this card for us to break down. Both are United States championships and should go rather quickly. Trick Williams defending against Ricky Saints. Trick and Lil Yachty opened SmackDown with Williams informing the crowd he missed TV last week because he married Lash legend. Immediate whoop that Trick chance, with Williams acting like he was smacking that ass, hitting it from behind. Not that he needed to up his cred, but guess what? He did.
I was up all night.
Marrying a baddie like Lash certainly does not hurt. Saints interrupted wearing a vest that I cannot even begin to describe. He had a strong response to the British "Who are ya" chant and said the hype train ends for Trick at the PLE. Then he baited Boat into taking a right hand, expertly pulling off a turnaround sneak attack on Williams to end it. Later backstage, Boat admitted that they were looking past Stanks, saying he now is getting their undivided attention and only a sucker would sucker punch a man. Williams went deeper, tearing Saints down from tip to tail, saying Night of Champions would be Trick's night, not Ricky's. This was arguably Saints' best segment since debuting on the main roster. He had the confidence, the lines, the content, and he had someone in Trick who could match his swag across the ring. Williams did well on his own. I appreciated how Ricky went over strong considering the expected match result. And then Boat backstage was actually quite impressive considering he doesn't really speak that much. So this was solid all around on Friday night.
Agree. It was good setup for the match. Not much more.
Saints attacked before the bell at Night of Champions and got Boat ejected with an Eddie Guerrero-style fake kendo stick shot ringside. He utilized the steel steps as an audio trigger for the referee. After eating old school, Williams rallied with his typical offense, including a float-over bookend. Saints avoided Trick shot, immediately hitting a Revolution DDT and a step-off elbow drop. Then he countered bookend with a pump knee, but Trick avoided a second Revolution DDT, running the ropes to hit Trick shot and retain the title in 11 minutes. Ricky went to attack after the bell, but instead he ate a Trick slap and a kendo stick shot from Yachty. Williams then had Boat do the People's Elbow, which was executed well, but I hate when people do the People's Elbow and they don't wave the right leg over the body. You have to have that sweeping motion before you drop the elbow. That's what makes it a people elbow. It's crucial to the Silver King. If I ever get the opportunity, you will see me do that. There was nothing wrong with this at all. Saints worked quite well, but it felt like a mid-show main event on TV and not something that at all deserved to be on a PLE. Despite Williams being ridiculously over, there were a ton of empty seats because fans were assuredly using the bathroom and getting snacks after the 3 hot openers. The horrendous audio mixing and commentary did not do it any favors either. And Michael Cole, he still believes that Ricky Saints' finisher, which is Rochambeau, is Rochambeau, as if it's like a regular word. Did this guy never play rock, paper, scissors as a kid? Like, how does he not know that it's Rochambeau, not Rochambeau? There was no drama in this match because everyone knew Trick was retaining. They did well enough, all things considered. I'm at 3 stars, B-. Trick's matches end every time just as they're heating up, and he really has not improved in ring since moving to the main roster.
What does Rochambeau have to do with rock, paper, scissors?
It's another name for the game, rock, paper, scissors, Rochambeau.
Oh, I've never heard that. You
and Michael Cole, apparently. Okay. I didn't know that.
I bet a lot of listeners don't know that. Like, I know that's what the move is called because that's what they say. I did not realize that's what it was. And I even know quite a bit of French, but not particularly those words. I'm not great with my
I don't even
nouns.
know that it's French. Is it French? Okay.
Yeah, he's from Louisiana. That's definitely French. I figured that must be the French wording of it.
The French connection.
Let's
A
look this up.
popular legend claims the name, so it's a legend, claims the name comes from General Rochambeau, a French nobleman who fought in the American Revolutionary War. However, historians and linguistics, like those in Lexicon Valley podcast, note this is just a folk etymology. The game wasn't played in the U.S. until long after his time. So,
Okay, so it's called that.
there is a
Based on
General
his name.
Rochambeau. There is, but they doubt that it is actually where it comes from.
Rochambeau does not mean rock, paper, scissors.
It doesn't mean it, but it stands for it. That is what it means in referencing the game.
Okay, yeah, I was unaware of that. So I'll give Michael Cole. a
Okay,
pass on
yeah,
not knowing
okay.
that. But
Listen,
but
yeah, maybe I'm.
but he should know that that's what the name.
He
of
should
the
know
move
how to
is
say
called.
it,
Your
yes.
job is to pronounce those things.
He should know how to say it. Yes, correct.
But yeah, Ricky being New Orleans, the French of it all, that's what I figured. This was like, it was okay. It's just, we knew coming in that Ricky had no shot, that Trick was going to win, and it was what it's going to be. I'm glad this was on the pay-per-view. Again, like, I don't like these 4 or 5 match cards. Like, you go back in the day, not every match on a 6 match card has to be incredible. We got the IC title defended on a pay-per-view. That's a positive. Everything about it was just like, okay, but that's okay. It doesn't need to be, especially in the position that it was in on the card.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, completely agree. By the way, further Wikipedia research tells me it's a Japanese game. It started in the United States around 1910, and apparently this guy was not a general; he was Count Rochambeau. But it does not have to do with him, so therefore it is not specifically French. So just wanted to add, since we had that
Good to know.
conversation.
I
But
learned something.
I completely agree with what you said, and we can move over to the other United States Championship match, Tiffany Stratton defending against Jade Cargill. Now, there was some adjacent build for this, but considering we've already spoken for so long on the instant analysis, we're going to save all of that for Tuesday's WWE episode. It does stand on its own to some degree as well. The key to know from SmackDown is that Tiffy took Jaded at the end of a double segment that included a tag team match and then a singles bout between Jade and Chelsea Green. Like the other women's match, the visual differential here was solid with purple and pink, but their gear was far less interesting comparative to Io and Liv. Like, visually, they stood out, and Tiffy and Jade did not, which is shocking because obviously they're both beautiful. They have great bodies and all that. I'm not like judging on that thing, but they were just so plainly dressed. It was a little bit odd. Stratton avoided Eye of the Storm early, but Cargill caught a tope suicida, bouncing her off the ropes into her knee ringside. Great spot that got 0 reaction. Same with a pop-up powerbomb that followed, though a subsequent black hole slam got a little bit more of a pop. It was executed well, too. After Tiffy rolled through Jaded, Cargill avoided the cartwheel Alabama slam and got knees up to block prettiest moonsault ever, hitting Sandstorm to 0 reaction. Stratton next countered Jaded with a stunner and countered Cargill again into a crucifix driver with a botched cover. The baddies invaded at this juncture, allowing Jade to hit a chokeslam before Chelsea emerged from underneath the ring to destroy both of them. She grabbed the U.S. title, which fell into the ring as Jade dragged Green into the apron by her hair. When Cargill went to use the belt, Charlotte Flair appeared, stole it away, hit her in the head, and allowed Stratton to win with prettiest moonsault ever in about 8 minutes. The crowd disinterest ruined this match. It's pathetic that they only cheer for like the top 2 women on each brand and don't give a shit about the rest of the division. This was another great match between Tiffy and Jade, not in terms of work rate per se, but their ability to play and counter together, to accentuate the other's positives. Even the booking was correct coming out of SmackDown. Jade has been on this crazy upswing in ring. No one is suggesting she's a top 20, 30 women's worker in the United States, but she can more than hold her own in a match, especially when she is fighting Tiffy or Rhea Ripley. Like, they just work so incredibly well together. Stratton really stepped up her game on SmackDown Friday, and it looked like she was trending in a positive direction here. But again, there was zero momentum created by the crowd. Jade got an excused loss. Both the heels and the faces were in a position, like booking-wise, to get boos and cheers respectively if the crowd cared, but it did not. The finish was supposed to push a lot of positive momentum onto Charlotte and Chelsea, but because of the venue, it fell flat. I found this to be successful, though, and I wouldn't be surprised if my grade is higher than others. I'm at 3.5 stars B, only due to the interferences. It was really entertaining to me. I was on my way to a B+ before all of that started, and thankfully, this was the only match on the card that had outside involvement. We've had too many premium live events where half or a third of the matches have people with, interfering, distracting, whatever the case might be. This was the only one of 6 matches, and it was the right one to utilize it.
Yes, I thought it was a good match. Story made sense. It was what we predicted, which Chelsea and Charlotte make the save. My only nitpick was I wouldn't have had Charlotte hit Jade with it.
Agree.
Because Jade didn't actually hit anybody with it. Like, I always like the turnabout is fair play. Cole even said that line in the main event, but the heels hadn't used it. Mm-hmm. So in the end, only the faces used the belt shot to get the win. I generally don't like that, but obviously we're setting up Charlotte versus Jade, and there was another way to do that. Okay. Everything about this was fine. Would have liked the crowd to be into it a bit more, but perfectly fine stuff.
To your point, not the ideal finish, but Jade needed a specific reason to be angry at Charlotte, and Flair obviously was getting back at Cargill for injuring her and knocking her out of the Queen of the Ring tournament. So
yes,
if there was a situationality in which it would allow us to accept it, it was this. And that's okay.
That's fair.
All right. That wraps up our WWE Night of Champions instant analysis. But before we leave, we do need to give a final grade for this premium live event. Before we get to that, we need to remind you about our pre-show expectation grades. Vintage came in with a 92 A-. Silver King was a little bit lower, a 90 A-, but we both agreed it should be a very good show that had a ceiling to potentially be great. So Vintage, now that Night of Champions is over, as always, you get the opportunity to go first in this section. What is your final grade for the last WWE Premium Live event before SummerSlam?
I'll go with what I had, 92 A-. And not in exactly the way I expected, because I think the highs of this show were higher than I expected. The lows of this show were lower than I expected. But it all comes out in a wash. You've got a WWE Championship change. You've got 2 new number 1 contenders, although one of them kind of is weird with the women's stuff. You got a terrific match out of Seth and Braun. I'll stick right there with an A-. If the bottom had been a bit better, this would have gotten into an A.
Yeah, I'm extremely surprised by that because you put such a weight on stuff happening that matters. And on this show, there were 4 matches, I would say, but at least 3, where the results mattered in a significant way, none more so than the main event. So for me, there's a difference between overall show quality and overall show booking. From a booking standpoint, Night of Champions was almost perfect. They got the correct winners in 6 out of 6 matches, only 1 distraction interference, which, as I said, was sensible and logical within the story of the feud. Nothing was bad, even though there was plenty of mediocre. There were 5 clean finishes, a massive title change, 2 match of the year contenders in my book, 1 definitely, no hooded figures or shenanigans. The only true flaw, like the clear flaw, was Danhausen, which I understand might not be a universal opinion, but it's mine.
It was a twofer on that. It was the curse and EO beating Liv to face Liv again.
But we knew that match was happening already going into the show.
Yes.
And Liv beating EO would not have been a better outcome necessarily.
No.
So
I didn't say it earlier, but I don't think I liked EO calling out Liv either. I think it kind of degraded the win almost.
I think if she did, I think the call out could have been better. She should have said, "I just beat you and I'm going to do it again at SummerSlam." Like, as opposed to just saying, "I challenge you again at SummerSlam." Like, she should have been demonstrative with it, right? But that's difficult potentially because of the language barrier. I don't know, maybe. So for me, again, the only true flaw, which I don't think is debatable, but again, many of you may disagree, was Danhausen. For all the assumptions and all the pessimism from the IWC that's been thrown on this WWE product and Paul Levesque's creative, as far as I'm concerned, he shut a lot of people up on Saturday night. Well, no one will actually shut up because, they'll complain about anything, but he at least quieted some of them down until Raw on Monday. Go ahead.
I've seen a lot of people say online, I don't watch WWE anymore, but hell yeah, Sami Zayn. And that's a credit
They
to...
say that, but they always know immediately when something happens and they can give you an opinion on it, even though they don't watch it.
It was a thing that it was a booking decision that has garnered a lot of respect.
I'm not even saying that, though. I'm saying Oba going over Jay clean, right? Io becoming queen of the ring despite Liv Morgan being the opponent. The Seth Rollins Braun Breaker match not being an escape finish or a Bronson Reed return interference. Like all the concerns we expressed were possible for this show. None of them happened, right? And it's not just good because it wasn't bad. It's good because it was good. And the Sami Zayn thing really takes it above everything else. So I'm not suggesting that you undergraded it in any way. I'm just surprised your grade wasn't higher because for me, this elevated...
That means you think I undergraded it.
By a point or... No. By a point...
Which is okay.
By a point or two. I'm not saying it was some like egregious... number that
sure.
I'm not saying you gave it an 89 and it should have been a 95. I just thought because your expectation was a 92, I would have assumed it exceeded your expectations and therefore it would have been a higher number. That's pretty much what I'm getting at when I give you my grade. That's the case for me. I was lower than you. I had a little bit of pessimism here, but when we do these shows, you just don't necessarily believe you're going to get 2 great matches and 6 of 6 correct winners. Like it doesn't usually happen that way. This exceeded all of my expectations for the show. Although, yes, there were mediocre matches, both United States championships and both really King and Queen of the Ring finals. I thought all of them could have been better for one reason or another. But man, that cage match and definitely the main event, sometimes a rising tide lifts all boats. I'm only a point higher than you. I'm at a 93A, but I'm a full A for this show. I think it's one of the better PLEs that WWE has put on in quite some time, despite the fact that the work rate across all 6 matches may not have been at super quality like we're going to get from, AEW Forbidden Door probably on Sunday, and maybe even NXT Great American Bash the same night. It's possible wrestling-wise, both of those shows are better. I don't know that you're going to get a moment or even maybe a match on either of those shows that stands up to the main event of Night of Champions. So I'm at a 93A, you're at a 92A minus. Those are incredibly close. Like I said, I just thought that it had exceeded your expectations. Instead, you're telling me it met them, despite a Sami Zayn.
It met them in an unexpected way. The highs were higher and the lows were a bit lower. That's what I mean. It didn't meet my expectations in any type of way, but technically,
the sum of it did, though. The average did.
It averaged out that way.
Yeah, and that's totally fair. And I'm glad we contextualize it here as we wrap up this WWE Night of Champions instant analysis. In terms of what's ahead here on the Getting Over Wrestling podcast, we will be back at some point Sunday or Monday. I'm not yet sure, with an instant analysis for NXT Great American Bash and AEW Forbidden Door. It's going to depend on when the shows end, how much energy the Silver King has, whether Vintage is going to join TBD, just everything. Don't know when it's going to get published, but Sunday or Monday, you will get an instant analysis for those shows. Also on Sunday is TNA Slammiversary. We will not be touching that until Thursday's show. So Sunday/Monday, NXT, AEW, pay-per-view instant analysis. Tuesday, we'll talk all things WWE. We'll have the Night of Champions second look on that episode. And then Thursday, we'll talk NXT, AEW, and TNA Slammiversary. On the way out, allow the Silver King to remind you here at the Getting Over Wrestling podcast.
It's all about Defy.
So head over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify, leave a 5-star rating on Apple. Take a little extra time, leave a 5-star written review. If you do, we will read it live right here on the show. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media at Getting Overcast on Twitter and Blue Sky. You get episode drops, news, analysis, highlights. You can send in questions and comments for the show. Please do, because we will reference them this coming Tuesday on that WWE episode on YouTube. When you subscribe there, you can listen to the show. You can watch full-length video interviews, and the link in our social media profiles allows you to join our Slack channel for free. Subscribe to the podcast, purchase stuff on Fanatics and WWE Shop, we get a kickback. No matter what you want to find when it comes to Getting Over, you can find it on social media at Getting Overcast. Thanks once again to Vintage Chris Vanini for joining. I hope all of you enjoy the remainder of your weekend. This is the Silver King, Adam Silverstein, signing off and leaving you with just 3 final words. Bye for now.